Hello, welcome to Deep Sport Insights. Today we're taking a look at the 5 fights on the Dana White Contender Series card. This is for Week 2, Season 9. With that, let's get right into it. First, we have 5 fights on the card. First one is a featherweight bout between Tommy Cuozzi and Ramiro Jimenez. Tommy Little Cuozzi is he's 8-0 as a professional. He's 25 years old. 6 wins by KO, 2 by submission. If you just take him for face value or what's on paper, you're gonna think this guy is the greatest fighter to ever touch the earth. But you have to look at his competition. His competition is not solid. If you take a look at Giovanni Meza, we're going to actually take a quick look at this fight today together, and I'll show you what I mean by level of competition, because without a doubt, Giovanni Meza was the best competition that Tommy Cuozzi has faced up until this point in his career. And then we look just 4 fights ago. So this is November 4th, 2023. So this is less than 2 years ago. He's fighting a guy named Paul Teague, right? And look, this fight took him almost a whole 3 minutes to finish, right? Instead of these other ones that are finishing in a minute, 90 seconds, a minute 16. So Paul Teague must be decent, right? Let's go look at Paul Teague over here. Let's look at what this guy can do to slow down. He's 0-13. He's been finished in all of his losses. Guess Paul Teague's not that good. Well, surely Giovanni Meza must be good, right? Oh, he's 8-8. He's 25 years old. He's been finished 8 times. Oh my God. Oh, there's Tommy right there. That's where he squeezed he was the 4th person to finish him in a row. Damn, this was a bad year for this dude. Can you imagine getting finished 7 times in less than 2 years? 20 months, this guy got finished 7 times professionally. That is crazy. But yeah, that's the competition, and those are the opponents that Tommy Cuozzi is essentially facing. And then he's going up against Ramiro Jimenez. Ramiro Jimenez is 10-0 as a professional. He's a southpaw, well-rounded skill set. When I was watching footage, my favorite thing that I noticed about Jimenez right away was his IQ. And if you look at his fight series, you look at his opponents, you'll notice that Tommy Garcia, he's a kickboxer. So Jimenez goes ahead and he finishes him by submission, right? Very competent kickboxer, has a weakness in submission game, employs that in his game plan to go out there and finish Tommy Garcia. We'll go see against Mauricio Aguiles. Ooh, I might be butchering this a little bit. But if you go ahead and take a look at this fight. Yeah, this guy clearly has 11-10. Not very good. Never mind. I don't know where I was going with that. Was it Pablo Burgos? Was that the fight I want to look at? Yeah, so this fight here, Pablo Burgos, it was a close decision fight, but Pablo Burgos got popped for PEDs, and he looked like it because he didn't slow down. He went high octane that whole fight. Not the cleanest, but even while using performance enhancers, Jimenez was able to keep this fight very close. So Jimenez is the much better fighter, well-rounded. He's fought a better level of competition too. He's also getting the finishes much like Tommy Cuozzi. The difference is who he's actually finishing. If I go and I just look at Tommy Garcia's 10-4. You're looking like there's people. 10-4 is a professional, and what about this? I'm going to show you the Nicholas Barna fight. 9-5, okay? Nicholas Barna doesn't even look that bad. Nicholas Barna is easily way better than anyone that Tommy Cuozzi has ever fought in his career. And I'm going to show you a little bit of the Jimenez and Barna fight shortly. And you'll see Barna was never a threat at any point in time for Jimenez. Jimenez very methodical, pushed him back, worked him, found the finish, just as he does in every single one of his fights. And he's going to do that against Tommy Cuozzi. I don't really know if Tommy Cuozzi is going to be able to bully Jimenez the way that he's done in his other opponents. And I'm going to show you exactly why. Okay? So here's the Tommy Cuozzi versus Giovanni Meza fight. Okay? Oh, there you go. Meza, not really physically fit. Definitely has some extra poundage there. Let me just jump ahead in this. Oh, yeah, that's how fast he gets him down. It's like you just jump ahead a little bit. Oh, my God, I had to back up for that. There, see? This is how bad these guys are. Look, 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and then pop there. Grabs his guy, turns him over, gets on top, starts mount, starts pounding away. So he turns over, gives up his back, already almost fetal position. So he sets his hooks in right away, grabs underneath, tries to establish the seat belt. This guy's trying to work, trying to protect against the arms, but now he went underneath, grabbed the wrist wrap. He's trying to go back, trying to flatten this guy out from up top. Literally doing anything he wants to him. He's just going through the motions. There's really no defense coming back from his opponent. That's the highest level of competition that Tommy Cuozzi has fought. This is the most recent fight, professional fight that Tommy has had leading up to his fight against Jimenez. And I'm about to show you the level of competition that Jimenez is. And it gets to here, he flattens him out, and basically just TKOs him. Nothing his opponent can do because his opponent essentially had no idea what he was doing even before he got into that octagon. And that's it. They all wrapped up, give each other some hugs, and they're good to go home. Beautiful. Now let's look at Jimenez here. So this is Nico Barna, his opponent, right? Said Nico Barna is far better than anyone Tommy Cuozzi's faced. In my opinion, Nico Barna probably beats Tommy Cuozzi. Let's take a little look here. Right, solid dude. He's built well. None of Cuozzi's opponents were ever in that kind of fight shape. And you can go do your homework. They're all out of shape. Just have a look here. They get into it. See, much better. Just look at the technique overall. Much more patient fighters. Feeling each other out. Obviously, southpaws causing problems for Nico Barna because Jimenez knows how to work that lead jab. He'll always work the outside foot. Make sure he keeps that in point. Good takedown defense. Still strong. Posts off when he throws that cross. Light on the feet. Returns back to the center. Does all the right things when you look at the striking. Pushing his opponent back. Don't really know why Nico Barna chooses to back up here, but he does. Throw some low kicks, whatever. Body shot. Grabs him. Takes him down. But look, he scoots back to the fence, uses his hips, gets right back up. All right, so yeah, he's vulnerable to get taken down, but he knows how to get right back up to his feet, knows what to do, and that was a well-timed takedown. Oh, let's see what I missed here. Sorry about that. He wraps the body, takes him down, works his way up. Looks, he starts climbing first, starts positioning his hips against the fence so he can't find a way to peel or build his way back up. He's patient. Starts throwing punches so that he has to work and move because other referee's going to stop the fight. So now the onus goes on Nico Barna. Have to work his way up, so he makes a mistake, right? He pulls him back, and now goes into TKO mode. Now he takes a more dominant position. He was so worried about not getting his back taken, he just got dragged down right there. Look how he's underhooking that inside arm, so he can't really move. Just good control. Look, back on the wrists. Barna is not letting go of that half guard he should to try and return to his feet, but that's also another reason he's kind of stuck in this position under Jimenez. But look, Jimenez doing all the right things, keeping that a strong overhook. You know, he's just going to start applying pressure, start throwing strikes down to the head shortly. Because, hey, if you want to keep that leg, go ahead, keep it. He's going to have dominant position all day, and he'll strike at your head. Oh. See, better wrestling. Because, like, Barna is a competent wrestler, and so is Jimenez. These are competent fighters, and you're seeing these results. Whereas it's hard to get two competent fighters in a cage together when Tommy Cuozzi's fighting. Not saying Tommy Cuozzi's bad at all. Like, his opponents are not a reflection of him. It's just that if you haven't ever fought that kind of competition, you got to also think about what kind of talent you have in the gym around you. Not really sure he has anyone solid he's training with. Again, I'm not aware. But just in what I've seen in the talent that he's put himself up against, unless it's a pure like record pad type of thing, because this is a real fighter. He's about to face a real fighter for the first time. So unless he's fighting a real fighter in the training camp and sparring, and those are the guys helping build him up, he's about to have a wake-up call on the Dana White Contender Series. And that's not the place you really want to have those wake-up calls. And look, fought through some adversity. Here's Ramiro Jimenez coming right back with this fight now. He's going to get the finish here. Pop, beats him down, finishes Nico Barna. All measured, patient, has all the energy in the world, not a scratch on him, not a single mark. And that's against an opponent far better than anyone Tommy Cuozzi's ever fought. In my opinion, Nico Barna is better than Tommy Cuozzi. Yeah, so with the pick for that first fight, Going back to this. Okay, first fight. I'm going to go with Ramiro Jimenez to get the win over Tommy Cuozzi. I think he finishes Tommy Cuozzi later in the rounds when Tommy, just burns himself out. I think there's a technique difference. I think there's a strength difference. I think there's an experience difference here. And I think early Tommy might feel like, hey, he's just settling in, and it might be that, hey, I just can't seem to find my range, and it'll come over time. And then as the fight goes on, he's just not going to find it because Ramiro Jimenez is going to get his reads first because he's more experienced. He's fought better competition, and then he's going to apply those reads first, start dictating the game, and the game is going to be changing as Tommy Cuozzi is still trying to be getting a read on this fight. It's already going to start getting starting to get wrapped up. Whether Jimenez actually gets that finish will actually determine if Tommy Cuozzi is actually legitimate as a fighter or not. I don't think he wins this fight, but that by no means am I saying Tommy Cuozzi's illegitimate. But if he gets finished and he gets made look goofy by Ramiro Jimenez, I don't think Tommy Cuozzi is the real deal. But if this goes to distance and Ramiro Jimenez gets his hands raised by a decision, that's actually a pretty good sign. That's a pretty good day, in my opinion, for Tommy Cuozzi. And then hopefully we can go see him, take his training camp somewhere more effective, apply himself, and then see him back in the Dana White Contender Series to do some really amazing things. Because hey, he's 8-0, he hasn't ever done anything to look bad himself, right? Like, everything I'm saying is against his opponents. It's not against Tommy Cuozzi himself. But I just think Ramiro Jimenez is a real fighter, and we're about to see Tommy Cuozzi go and face a real fighter for the first time, where that is not the case for Ramiro Jimenez. He's about to fight a guy that I don't think is even the hardest competition he's ever faced. So, based on that breakdown, I have to go with Ramiro Jimenez to get this win, and I think he gets the finish, unfortunately, for Cuozzi, and I think Jimenez will get the finish by TKO, and he'll get it late in the second, maybe early in the third round, if I have the right read on these fighters. But I hope Tommy Cuozzi actually does survive this. He gets to the scorecards, and then he learns, and he takes it back he learns for the next one. Now, I'm moving on to the next fight between Josh Hokit and Guilherme Uriel. This fight is kind of difficult for me to get my read on because Josh Hokit is, and I know I have his notes somewhere, he's a former two-time collegiate wrestler. He's an ex-NFL running back. He was on the 49ers practice squad. And that's a pretty good team to be the practice squad on because they had amazing depth at running back. We all know that. Anyone who's played fantasy the last few years know all the energy to Christian McCaffrey. So really, I think that's impressive. So, and the reason he was on the 49ers practice squad is obviously because he was an NCAA football player as well. So he was a running back in college. He was also a two-time collegiate wrestler. So superstar athlete at heavyweight, where sometimes you see these big plodding guys. That's not what you're getting out of Josh Hokit. This guy is a real athlete at heavyweight. Problem is, great athlete isn't necessarily a great fighter because those two things don't always translate. And I think we're about to find out because he is going to have the better gas tank in this fight for sure. Let me get into it. Why am I still just talking to the screen here? Let's take a look at this. I mean, we can wrap these guys up. Yeah, he's 5-0, 2 wins by KO, 3 by submission. He gets the wins. Again, solid wrestling background, so he's going to get the finish. They're all 3 different submissions, too, so they're not the same. I forget what those submissions were, but I think it's rear naked choke, arm triangle, and possibly a guillotine or a Kimura. But it's basically going through your traditional, basic jiu-jitsu submission package, but he can initiate those from wherever he wants because he really does dictate where the fight takes place with his wrestling, and that's what's going to happen in this fight as well against Guilherme Uriel. Josh Hokit also fought in Bellator and the LFA, where he stayed undefeated, so he's fighting good level of competition heading into this. And he's a freak athlete, so that's pretty much that. He just doesn't have that many fights under his belt. And he's going up against Guilherme Uriel, who's been knocked out once. He has 6 wins. Now, there's what I have in my notes about Uriel is he has 3 wins by KO, 3 by sub. His cardio is questionable, though. He has a high risk of gassing anytime past the first round. And this is what my pick boils down to. Josh Hokit, with his stronger collegiate wrestling background and what he's shown in his previous fights at the Bellator and LFA level, is that he will be able to dictate the wrestling here. Guilherme Uriel is a black belt in jiu-jitsu. However, that is gi jiu-jitsu. That is not no-gi. So he's not going to have anything to grab onto to slow down Hokit's game. I think Hokit's going to be able to put him on his back. I think he's able to work him. I think Guilherme will be able to stay safe because I think Josh Hokit's submission package is relatively amateur or young. I think he'll eventually develop more sophisticated submissions and packages as he works them into his game. But I think right now he just has the basic packages, and you're not going to submit a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and he's legit Brazilian, and now we'll find out he's a legit black belt because you're not going to get submitted in those simple packages. So he should be able to survive. However, if you have a gas tank issue, it could be that he's a quitter. So I don't want to necessarily say that Josh Hokit shouldn't be able to submit Guilherme here because of the difference in submission technique, although Josh should find himself on top of Guilherme whenever he wants. I don't know if he's going to get swept because I think he's definitely faced that level of competition or people who could show him any kind of sweeps already in training. I don't think there's anything new or sophisticated that he's going to get shown. And Guilherme is not some IBJJF Jiu-Jitsu champion. He's a black belt who just knows Jiu-Jitsu. I think he's going to find himself on the back lot. I think he's going to find himself getting worked, and then he's going to find himself tiring out. He's either going to give up, stay on his back, and stay safe because he doesn't feel threatened on the ground by Josh Hokit. And then he's just going to keep himself safe, maybe hold, avoid prevent the passing so that he loses by decision, and nobody's going to be happy. Nobody gets a contract in that type of scenario. In another scenario, Josh Hokit takes him down, works him the whole first round. In the second round, Guilherme is just there he's a corpse walking in the octagon, so Hokit can start piecing him up. Because when it comes down to just pure striking, I do feel Guilherme Uriel does actually have this advantage in the striking. He does throw straight long shots. Josh Hokit doesn't offer too much on the feet. He has gotten hit, but his chin has held up. The same could not be said for Guilherme Uriel. He has the one knockout back in 2023 to Lucas Treverio Camacho. I think Josh Hokit's essentially going to be able to take down... He's the side. Josh Hokit wins this fight simply by being able to take down Uriel. He have 50 minutes of cardio. I think he has 25 minutes of cardio at heavyweight, and that's pretty bad when Uriel, we don't even know if he has 5 minutes. Like 5 is questionable. 10, I would bet against it. So he's definitely he's going to be there, more present for more of the rounds. He can dictate where the fight takes place. And unless there's some early submission or he makes a grave mistake against Uriel, I don't think Guilherme is going to be able to get a submission off his back while Josh is able to use his strong wrestling to just keep position dominance. But if that happens, I think it's going to be a very boring fight. Nobody's going to enjoy it. Nobody gets a contract. Hopefully, Josh is able to work Guilherme, make that corpse show up in the second and third round, and then eventually land a knockout with just his power and just simply because he'll have the energy just to be able to throw still into the second round and late into the third, whereas Guilherme just won't be able to get that done. Give me Josh Hokit by moneyline, and if I had to make a pick, Josh Hokit by decision. I think it's going to be boring. I don't think anyone gets a contract. That's the honest truth. On to the next fight. We got... Oh, no, this ain't right. Oh, yeah, there we go. On to the next fight. We got Lewis Lee Scott versus Kaushik Saikumar. This fight is also very one-sided. Lewis Lee Scott is very well-rounded. He's good. Great striker. Solid wrestling. I'm just waiting for this to load. What's going on here? So many tabs open. Okay, Lewis Lee Scott. 9-0, 5 wins by KO, 2 by submission, 2 by decision. Manchester top team. Very high IQ, low risk, high reward type of game plans. That's how these guys fight. If they're going for the finish, is because they know there's no path of victory left for you, so they just start establishing their path. That's kind of the Manchester top team's fight game plan. I always find is first neutralize your opponent's game plan, neutralize the threat, then you start building up and working them, and then if there's enough time left on the clock and you've done a good job of breaking down your opponent, you then look for your finish. But first neutralize, break down, then finish. That's seems to be the go-to game plan for their coaches. And again, part of picking the right fighter is understanding what camps they're coming from. Lewis Lee Scott comes from the better camp amongst these two. And he's fought on the Ayers fight scene, which they're not bad, but he's getting the finishes where he should. Let's take a look at some of his competition to see if they're actually any good. 5-1, not bad. He beat him though. That guy was pretty tall too. Was a guy like 6'2"? That's pretty crazy. And he got the finish by armbar. Makes sense. Next guy, the Wolf, 16-3 South African, and he beat him as well. So these are good levels of competition. These are title belt holders in these regional scenes, and he's beating them. and he has experience against the international fight scene already. And he is going up against Kaushik Kumar. With Kaushik here is the pride of Chennai, but he's not actually fighting out of India. He fights out of Chicago. I think he's part of those jiu-jitsu fight camps, 50-50 martial arts. That's the it's a jiu-jitsu fight camp. I think it's a Ryan Hall affiliate school. But yeah, he's fought in the CFC. Not against the best level of competition, I gotta say. Yeah, against he's 5-2 out of Kill Cliff, and in this fight, he was losing this fight from what I remember, and then he just got a solid knee that knocked down Adamu, and then he finished him on the ground. But he was just getting absolutely dog walked in this fight. If you watch the fight between Kaushik Saikumar and Adamu Isa, and that fight took place October 18, 2024. So almost a year later, Kaushik is stepping back into the octagon. I do feel like he definitely has the better jiu-jitsu ground game and better grappling. Hence, everybody likes to engage in the striking with him. Problem here in this fight, Louis Lee Scott will definitely have the better wrestling to dictate where this fight takes place. And when it comes to the boxing and striking, wow, Louis Lee Scott is just leagues above Kaushik Saikumar. I think Louis Lee Scott gets the fight. I think he gets the job done here. I think he gets a contract, and I think he gets it by knocking out Kaushik Saikumar. And I think he knocks him out in the first round, actually. That's my bold prediction. Give me Louis Lee Scott in this fight. Moving on to the next fight. Let's look at Brandon Holmes versus Cameron Rowston. This is my favorite fight of the night because I think it's the best value play on the card. Brandon Holmes, coming here on short notice. I could pull up this... I could show you his fight breakdown, where you're going to look at it. I've already done my homework here. Brandon Holmes does not belong in the UFC. I would bet all the money on that. He does not belong in the UFC. He's not getting a contract. He's not getting a contract because Cameron Rowston from City Kickboxing is going to beat his ass. Cameron Rowston's he's from City Kickboxing, so you assume he's a great kickboxer. He's also really great on the ground. He has amazing grappling. So Brandon Holmes is a brawler, a freak athlete. I'll give him that. He's an absolute freak athlete. I just don't know if he's necessarily a fighter because I think he's missing that fight IQ and he just has gaps in his game. He's just far too green to be in there with Cameron Rowston, which I believe Cameron Rowston has sparring partners that would absolutely dog walk Brandon Holmes. I don't understand how this fight is even. Actually, Cameron Rowston is the underdog in this fight. Makes no sense to me. He lost his last Dana White Contender Series fight because he fought against Torres Finney. Torres Finney has the physique of a peak male athlete. You can't beat Torres Finney, and that grappling game is immaculate. You won't be able to implement your jiu-jitsu against Torres Finney's immaculate game, okay? And either you guys know who Torres Finney is or you don't know who Torres Finney is. If you don't know... Anyways, moving on. Yeah, Cameron Rowston wins this fight. I actually think Cameron Rowston wins this fight by submission because I think that's the blatant hole in Brandon Holmes' game. We haven't seen it. He just brawls, runs forward. Freak athlete. I don't think he'll get tired. I think he has solid engine, but he is a threat all the time. Because he's a threat all the time, and he might be able to clip Cameron Rowston, Rowston's going to be able to dictate this pace, get right to the ground. He shouldn't be messing around anywhere else. Rip Cameron Rowston directly to the ground and start working in the ground, grappling. I don't think Brandon Holmes will be able to actually return to his feet once Cameron gets him to the ground. And I think he'll finish it in the first round because I think these guys are leagues apart in capability. And this time, second time's the charm for Cameron Rowston. He'll actually get the contract awarded from Dana White because he'll get a first round submission finish over Brandon Holmes in this middleweight fight. And then finally, we have our main card against Manuel Exposito versus Jose Moro Delano. This is a really tough fight, but I love Jose Moro Delano because he's a big One Piece fan. The whole Luffy thing he has going on. I'm biased because I'm a big One Piece fan. Manuel Exposito is probably the best Argentinian wrestler that I have ever seen. Sorry, Argentinian. I think I said Argentinian. Don't know what that is. Amazing grappling because usually Argentinians don't see... They seem to have that gap in their game. They're almost impossible to knock out, have amazing boxing, great cardio, but then just no grappling. And then the cardio doesn't matter because then they'll just go up against a wrestler who will just wrestle them for a little while wherever they want, and then they just spend their time against the fence. But Manuel Exposito has amazing grappling. Well, not amazing. It's solid. It's actually where his strength is. But he's very messy, doesn't have very good striking. So not typical of what you see out of Argentinian fighters. And he's going against Jose Moro Delano, who is a minus 450 favorite. I think rightfully so. I think he's the well-rounded fighter. I think he belongs in the UFC. He's UFC caliber talent. Do I think he's a champion caliber talent? Not necessarily, but I think he has opportunities to improve, lots of experience. He knows how to get a finish. He has that fight IQ, and he implements game plans. He has more of his the holes in his game plan and holes in his game shored up than Manuel Exposito has at this point in his career. And because of that, I think Jose Moro Delano will be able to actually exploit more of those gaps throughout that 15 minutes. And he'll end up getting the decision win over Manuel. However, I don't know if he'll win the contract with a decision win. If this is a high-octane fight, which I think it should be at featherweight, and both these guys are fighting for that contract opportunity, this could be like a really, really good fight. And I think both these gentlemen deserve to be in the UFC. Do I think they deserve to have long careers, successful careers? Time will tell. But I think both these gentlemen are caliber to make into the UFC. Like, for example, compared to the last fight we have on the card there with Brandon Holmes. Like, Brandon Holmes, even if he wins that fight, which I don't think happens, he does not belong in the UFC. Kaushik Saikumar does not belong in the UFC, even if he somehow pulls off a win. Manuel Exposito or Jose Moro Delano could have success in the UFC. So I just want that to be said. Respect to both these fighters and the work that they've put in. I do see Jose Moro Delano just being the better fighter. I think he'll be able to keep the fight standing. If he does get taken down, he'll return to the feet. If he ends up staying on the ground, I think he has enough grappling knowledge to actually be dangerous on the ground, and he presents certain threats that maybe Manuel Exposito is not ready for. But if Delano is able to stop those takedowns, so I think he's going to stop 80% or more. He might get 100, but I think he stops 80% of the takedown attempts from Exposito in this fight. Because of that, most of his fight stays standing. And as it stays standing, Jose Delano is just so much better than Manuel Exposito in the striking game. And what could happen here is Manuel Exposito could slow down in just relentless wrestling attempts, especially if he gets clipped early. He wants nothing to do with stand-up. He'll start shooting early and often. And with Jose Delano's takedown defense, he could stuff those takedowns. And if he stuffs the first, second, the third, I think he'll need to start getting up to the sixth and seventh, which might be still in the first round, could be halfway through the seventh. I think that's when you'll see Manuel Exposito start to take really big breaths, slow down, already offering nothing on the feet. There'll be nothing behind those fake takedowns. They'll just be backing up until Delano comes in, and then he'll just try to reshoot on those takedowns. And then we'll start to see that gas tank really empty. At that point in time, I think Jose Delano should be able to find the finish late. So it's either a late finish for Jose Delano or, Manuel Exposito has a safe game plan, might be able to execute, has some success, and that takes them both to a decision, where I still see Delano getting the win. But that's the way I see these fights actually playing out. That's the breakdown for the very first episode on Deep Sport Insights. It was a Dana White Contender Series episode. The formats will change over time. This one, as you saw, we started off watching some videos. I just need you guys to see the difference in the fighting here. And then, wrapped it up. Follow along. Please subscribe. Like and subscribe. Yeah, I'm supposed to say that. I should have said that probably earlier, something I'm going to work on. But hopefully you like the actual reads and the breakdowns of these fights. I am looking to get some UFC content up later this week in time for this weekend's event. And then follow along. So please like and subscribe to this content. Leave a comment. Let me know who you think wins these fights. If you have some good underdog picks, please share them below with the community. I want to grow a nice community here that likes to follow along. There's a lot of great pages and great communities already out there in the MMA space over the last 5 years. Definitely support those guys as well. But yeah, if you guys like what you hear, please follow along. Really appreciate your time, and see you next time.